All right, Patrick. So, as we chatted a little bit about before, so you have a lot of experience in teaching. So, talk to me a little bit about what you've done in the past 16 years. You were a science teacher, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
I started my career at Lake Cal High School, and I taught learning disabled SLD in the very beginning. So I taught biology, earth space science, as well as language arts 9 through 12. And so in those roles, designed curriculum, I designed websites, facilitated a lot of learning and testing and trying to get them up to speed, up to par. And then as my career moved on, I transitioned out of ESE into regular ed teaching and then eventually into honors and AP teaching. I did do a stint in middle school where I taught robotics and global health, as well as advanced physical science. I was responsible for creating a whole brand new curriculum for Seminole County for what was called Integrated Science 3. Believe it or not, we didn't have one for 1 or 2. They just had an Integrated Science 3. And it was to transition kids from earth space science into biology, because biology is a requirement to graduate from high school here in Florida. And so it was a bridgeway for students who may not be strong in science skills and would have difficulty with biology. So it was an integrated design, and Seminole County used that for several years before the state of Florida came up with their own program that they now use instead of integrated science, basically based off the same principle. And then I've wrapped up my teaching career at Winter Springs High School. And there I mainly taught AP, environmental science, and ecology. And I did that until I resigned my position after 16 years and moved into healthcare. A complete different change.
Yep.
I was hired as the center administrator. So my job was to not only hire the doctors and nurses, medical assistants, etc. It was to run a $5 to $10 million clinic, make it profitable. The goals and working through HEDIS and STARS and patient satisfaction, making sure our nurses were calling our patients, doing case management correctly, following up. The list is extensive as a manager, as you can imagine, making sure that everyone was up to date with training, making sure that, our facility was safe for employees as well as patients coming in, making sure that medications were not expired, ordering supplies. And then making sure that the training was up to date. We were often updating and changing our EMR and our procedures and how we did things, especially with COVID. You can imagine that caused quite a change in in the business world. So keeping up with that and the requirements there. So a lot of instructing, educating, making sure that our nurses knew what the new protocol, the new procedure, the new way of doing things were, as well as keeping the doctors up to date with coding and billing. Definitely changes that, Optum and the federal government required. And so keeping up to date, often they would code something. I'd have to go back and go, I need you to elaborate on that a little bit more
Right.
for coding purposes. So,
Absolutely.
and eventually I was laid off from that position, and here I am now.
Awesome. All right, perfect.